For more information on my programs, please visit masajady.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.
So this is on sexual trauma. We'll just get a chair. Yeah. Because what we'll do, we'll just talk about sexual trauma. But more importantly, again, whether you're here or online, more importantly is generating, say, frequencies that help you shift and go beyond, say, the sexual trauma. And not just sexual trauma as I tap into the group, but again, whether you're here or online, it's other types and sources of trauma too. So it's not just, say, sexual trauma. People with sexual trauma, they get abused in other forms as well, right? Which allows, say, that rut to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And then it's like that cycle. Again, it's a downward spiral from what I'm seeing. So there's lots of reasons for sexual trauma, whether it's family or other things. But we're going to go beyond, say, the physicalness of sexual trauma. Okay, we're going to go beyond, say, the causes of who did what to somebody. Okay, and some of you actually abuse yourself from what I'm sensing as well. Again, whether you guys are here or online, can't quite tell. But again, if nobody is around, why would you abuse yourself? Right? That's another question. So why do those, say, type of patterns really happen to people? So is it actually, say, the person that traumatized you that is causing the sexual trauma? So what I'm sensing, again, I'm not a psychotherapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just reading and scanning. I don't have any notes prepared because it's really about you. So I might jump here and there, but again, it's I'm either reading from, say, the audience here online, the audience, here live in San Fran, or those individuals online. Can they hear me okay?
A little closer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Kind of weird. How's that? Is that better? I left my real mic on an Uber. So, anyway, for those guys online, I'll try to talk a little louder. So sinking back into the group. So in this session, and for the most part, I'm just going to speak a little bit, and then we'll go into those deeper states where I can work on you and help you release. It's really about releasing. It's not about, say, understanding, because understanding is a conceptual thing, and you can understand all that you want, but is it going to let go of, say, the distortions that you feel with the trauma that you've had? Okay? Again, you've tried to, say, come to amends with it. You've tried to understand it. You've tried to, even forgive that person. But again, you're still here. You're still with that pain issues, right? We want to, totally, completely eliminate that. To do that, we have to go deeper than the conscious understanding. We have to go to, the spiritual understanding. And as I see, a lot of the trauma that you guys have faced, again, it started from some other type of trauma that turned into, some sort of sexual trauma. For many of you, and it started from, half of you is about lineage. So in your family, you're just creating, patterns or running patterns of your family lineage. Just like the way you have your hair color, your eye color, and all that stuff, you have, patterns of, or within your DNA structure, you have patterns of, being sexually abused or traumatized. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? So it's very important to understand that. There's lots of importance on that, several reasons why. One, it lets go of saying, I did something wrong, right, to create this trauma. Right? And even if you were in the right, sometimes those perpetrators actually blame you, or the spouse is what I'm seeing. Say mother abused you, your father goes along and blames you for, their spouse, so to speak, abusing you. So, right? So all those patterns that we we run. Again, the deeper pattern is that one, it's a lineage pattern. It's like your hair color, and I emphasize it because it'll help you release the fault that you think you have. You did something wrong, or you didn't. You're just running the same pattern. That's like blaming yourself for having, brown eyes. Right? It's just something that is, right? So just be aware of that. The other pattern that I'm seeing is that people are coming forward from the previous lifetime where they've been, say, slaves or treated as slaves or owned, and then that memory of being owned comes into, say, this generation. And this generation, well, other than in some minor countries, there is no slavery or owning of people, although it happens, human trafficking and so on. That's some of you kind of feel that pattern, by the way. You would be one of those, say, victims, or that propensity to be one of those victims. So say you've been a slave or you've been controlled at some level in a previous lifetime. Those memory snapshots come in, so that paradigm or your belief system, right, of the way you were, the way life was, now has come into a new form. So that would be your global setting. Does that make sense? So you've taken a piece of your previous lifetime, brought it over into this lifetime, but it's not just a piece. That would be your starting point or the main filter that you see all of your life in this reality. And you guys can ask questions if you want. But did that make sense to you? So that filter is it's like wearing you come in from a previous lifetime, say, wearing like a yellow lens. This lifetime, everything is like colored yellow to you. So you do not know the difference on what reality actually is. You would not know, just like a blind person would never know or never understand what light is, what color is, because he's never seen light, right? You would be blinded, so to speak, to just see yellow. And you think that's the way the world is, that's the way reality is. And it's really not. And no matter how hard you try to, say, pull out of that reality, since there is no difference or a reference point to guide you, say, on another avenue and see, because you've never experienced it. Again, you were just born right off the bat. Well, not even born. When your spirit didn't even come into physical form, you were distorted, right? You don't know any difference. There is no point of reference to go, okay, I'm not on the right path. I'm not seeing clearly, because you're not seeing a reference point or anything else to say that you're off the path, right? Or you're on the right. Unfortunately, so with that being said, what happens is that, well, the patterns of, say, slavery, and we'll just call it slavery or being owned. Let's just call it that way. There's no slavery in this realm or in this time frame for many of us, right? What happens is that that pattern runs so strongly, okay, that you will generate being, say, enslaved or being controlled at any level just to create the reality that exists within you. Does that make sense to you, guys? Right? It's really important, and I think it's really hitting home to you guys, and you're actually sensing it's like, oh my God, right? It's not you, and a lot of you, again, like you blame yourself, and then sadly to say, what happens is that, we become overweight, or we don't take care of ourselves, or we don't, just because we don't want that attention or that abuse or whatever, again, right? Because that's how, say, people protect themselves, again, at a physical level. Unfortunately, then what happens is that since we don't look our optimum, what do? We run patterns of abuse internally. It's like, look at you, look what you've come to. Does that make sense when you look at it in the mirror? Right? So again, it's a perpetuating pattern. So what we're doing in this session is like just going down to those deeper levels, right? And then clearing it out. And then you can see, and just be aware, guys, again, as this paradigm shift or this wave I don't know if some of you are new. So basically this, say, truth wave or purity wave that's coming through, kind of bringing in, say, an awareness to everybody, right? We get to see, say, the ugliness of what really happens underneath, right? All those things coming through. My ability is getting stronger. It's a very fast or forceful shift for you. And with some of you, just be aware that, that shift happens, say, dramatically, and it might, say, distort you until you come to balance. Okay? So, again, some of you with heavy detox, it's not that, I worked on you and your situation got worse, but it just, cleans you out at such a deep level that, it takes a little longer to heal. It's like having massive surgery, right? It takes you longer to heal versus somebody that just has, say, a little thing that they just, take out, like a day in surgery, you're good, and then you go out, you walk out. Some of you is you need a complete overhaul. So again, it's not EI, it's not what I do, it's just that you guys have been so distorted for so long that it takes, again, massive, say, transformation, and it hurts to let that go, although it's beneficial for you. Right? Again, there's other sorts of traumas that we go along with, again, with sexual trauma or anything else. Again, it's just a whole, say, cauldron of things, kind of like a witch's cauldron. And the reason why I use kind of like a witch's cauldron is that sexual abuse, sexual trauma in say, families that are that have intuitive abilities, they use that to distort you and keep you under wraps, and that's why I use kind of like a witch's brew type situation. Some of you run that pattern and think it might be people, this is probably people online from what I'm seeing. So they use that, again, to control you, because if you're being abused at some level, you'll never see your strength. You'll never be able to, say, walk away from, say, that intuition that binds and controls you. Right? So, and then what happens, sadly to say, so in real life, what does that mean? Because, again, witchcraft, yeah, that still exists. But what happens is that we get stuck, or we go to teachers, or we go to teachings, or we go to church groups, or whatever groups that we've had, right, that we connect with, that makes us feel safe. But in reality, you're perpetuating the distortions, right? It kind of reminds me, I went to France. It was a Sacred Heart Church. It was really very, very popular, one of the most famous churches in France. I did a YouTube video on that. I walked in and it was the darkest church, one of the darkest churches I've ever been in. Okay? And actually I went to the Vatican too, this past few months ago. So what happens is that initially it's an inviting frequency. Okay? It's like, it's okay, you're safe. You're fine. Right? And then what happens is that, yes, they'll give you that safety feel. Right? And this is what happens to a lot of your perpetrators, by the way. They'll give you that safety feel, right? You acknowledge them, you put your trust in them, right? And then what happens once you put your trust in them, what do? They start, say, manipulating you, they start, say, demoralizing you. And the reason being is what happens is that they demoralize you or take away, say, your own 2 feet, where you have to lean on them more, right? So that means you have to go to church more because you don't feel good. Well, why don't you feel good? You think it's outside, say, circumstances that you don't feel good. So you go back to, say, the church or the teacher or the perpetrator because that's what makes you feel good. But underneath it all is that they're the ones that are, say, demoralizing you or degrading you or pulling your foundation out. Did that make sense how that works? Right? And since you have a trusting notion, what happens? You go back to them more, right? And then more. And in extreme cases, just to give you an idea, say that, and it could be a few of you in this room, say that, you've been the only way, you've been trusted, again, the same story, you trust in somebody, and then they start controlling you, and then they start, say, sexually abusing you, and then you know it's not right, but then you have that trust factor, right? You can't get away from it. That's how that trust factor works. You can't get away from it. And then eventually, since that's the only attention that you get, what do? You will start to get into relationships. Even if you walk away from this relationship, you'll get into relationships that, say, that will abuse you because it makes you feel loved. So it distorts your say, translation on what love is. Just to put it in another way, and then we'll get into, say, the meditation, is that the only time that you've been, say, given attention to is that you've been abused, right? So, and I'm not going to get into all the details on how communication works, but there's a communication. Your spirit doesn't have, say, emotion or sensory inputs, right? So, and then you have a translation kit, which I call the soul, or which you guys might call the soul, and then your body, right? So your body, and this is where it gets distorted, and that's why we say perpetuate or even say crave sexual abuse, as some of you do, right? Again, it's not by somebody else, yourself, right? And this is why. So we'll work on this as well. So you have your spirit, you have your soul, and then you have your body, right? Your soul, again, is a fixture, kind of like Google Translate, okay? Or your spirit runs a certain program, your body runs another program. There's another program that, say, translates it so your spirit and body understand each other. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So your body, the way it senses its environment is through the senses, right? Touch, sight, sound, the five senses, right? And then emotions on top of that, right? It turns it into emotion. Those emotions get translated into, say, a translation kit or another language. Your spirit does not have emotions. It does not have senses, so it has to understand what you're experiencing, right? So it translates it into something your spirit understands. And then back and forth. Your spirit doesn't have, say, senses, but it wants to communicate to, say, your body. So you get it through your emotions and, your sensory perceptions, right? So anyway, so now what you're doing is, so within this picture, what's happening is that now you're equating love with being abused. That gets translated into your spirit. And it's like, oh, love is a good thing. Oh, to get love, I need to get abused. I need to run this pattern. Right? Again, it just doesn't understand the concept. Right? Because again, it's not an awakened spirit. It's just running a program. So now you've got this pattern of, love equals abuse. It's like, well, I want more love, more attention. So your spirit literally starts running programs, and then what do? You get connected with more abuse that makes you feel, say, at some level, loved, but then distorts the whole picture. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? And I know it sounds wacky, but there's plenty of you here online that go, oh, that makes sense. That's why I crave being abused, or I crave not being nice to myself or kind to myself or whatever it is, right? Because you crave that attention. It's not congruent. It's not the real you. So you can't, most importantly, guys, it's just programs that are running. It's not the real you, guys, right? Nothing that you've gone through is the real you. Is it part of you? Yes, it's part of your system. It's part of your programming, okay? But as we say, separate, just like a computer program. If you don't like the apps on your phone, well, you can get another app, right? There's no emotions. It's not like you've been bad. It's not like you've been good. It's not like you've been deserving. There's a lot of free apps online, right? There's a lot of free apps, guys, at spirit level. Again, pure source, everything's free. In fact, you get bonuses and benefits and gifts, okay? By downloading the free apps that Pure Source offers you. All right? So take advantage of that, right? And get greedy. That's another thing. You guys tend to be not, say, greedy in a good way, okay? Because what does that mean? If you're, if you feel greedy, then that's a negative, and then that's how you get abused, right? Or you allow somebody else to take advantage of the opportunity that's there. So that's why greed is actually in your favor if it's used properly. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm not saying there's a piece of cake and then you just lunge at it and nobody else gets it, or you hoard things. Okay, that's distortion of greed. In this case, the opportunities that show up for you, okay? And the key word is the opportunities that show up for you. Okay? It's not for anybody else there. It is for you. It's not greedy to take advantage of that. Okay? If you don't take it, okay, one, it distorts you. It slows your path down. Okay? Two, since you didn't take that one, Pure Source or your higher self or whatever you want to call it will not give you the next, say, grand opportunity because you didn't take advantage of that one. So how can it get the next one? Right? Does that make sense to you guys? Right? So be kind to yourself. Get greedy. Right? You'll be fine, guys. Get greedy and start, say, pushing or pulling things into you that are beneficial for you without guilt or without fear. And even if you do feel guilty or going, I'm taking somebody else's whatever, you're really not. There's plenty to go around. Okay? And why does somebody else deserve more than you do? Just think of it that way. Why are they better than you? You know, if you believe in that, say, structure, God created everybody equal, what's the difference? If you have it or you don't, or give it to somebody else, right? Those are the, say, religious distortions. Okay? And then talking about religion, unfortunately, that's where a lot of the sexual trauma comes, and maybe online, is that, and this is where, say, previous lifetimes, being owned or being a slave, comes in too, kind of blends in the two. As I'm reading, guys, I'm just working on whoever that, say, resonates with. Okay? So sexual abuse. So what happens, say, back in the day, and it happens today, well, look at Hollywood, right? That's the space. So what that means is that, say, back in the day, you know, there was, say, a group of people or a church or whatever, they got into the higher levels, okay? And say they were kind of pure, okay? They were on the right path, but then they got egotistical, right? They didn't know how to control the power that they had, right? Some of you, as your abilities, say, get higher, you know, you get consumed, or, say, sucked in, or, say, tantalized by something that goes, hey, you can do it better, you can go higher, you can do it, go higher faster, you can have more abilities faster, and then what do? You get sucked in, and then you get, say, down a dark path. And yes, it is faster, but what they ask of you is that, one, you sacrifice yourself, and then you have to, say, sacrifice others, because you get to the point that if you're not enough, and that's where, say, sacrifice, the ritual of the sacrifice, I'm sure you've heard that, right? So that's, say, the pattern, really pure, and this is just religious or spiritual. They get higher and higher, ego sets in, they sell themselves out, and then it's like, oh, we have to start sacrificing things. We have to start giving other people, say, spirits or souls to offer, because ours is not enough. Again, that's the real reason why. So some of you have been, say, sacrifices or sexual sacrifices and whatever, that whole, say, gourmet of, say, distortion there from a previous lifetime, right? And then in this lifetime, you recreate it. So, again, and that's why some of you, like intimacy or sexuality, you feel like you're being sacrificed every time you have sex, although it's a grand, it's a grand experience. Right? So again, you start to see the real reasons why. It's not your partner, it's not what you're doing, it's not the mood, it's not whatever. Again, it's the underlying reasons on why stuff happens. Right? So to further along with that, we want more power, right? And so it's moved away from spirituality because more and more people say want power, and this is where that Harvey Weinstein scenario, right? Scenario goes. It's like, well, they start doing sexual sacrifices. There's tons of stories coming out, right? It's like, you sacrifice yourself sexually, and then you get a pardon and or whatever the hell that is. We'll take your career up. And if you don't, you get, destroyed. So a lot of women and a lot of guys as well, more so women, they think, well, that's the only opportunity or that's the only path they have to succeed in life. And since they're distorted on what's really real, okay, they think, well, that's not a big deal. It's just one, say, sexual act. It's not about a sexual act, guys. It's about you allowing somebody else to take over your spirit. Sexual act, that's just nothing. Again, it's you actually saying yes, and then you sign over your spirit. And then, like, say, Harvey Weinstein controls you, right? And he literally sucks the life out of the women that he abused. Okay? And then, it moves on. Same thing with, say, Scientology. Same thing there. There was something else in there as well. So just give me a second. Well, I'll come back to that. So this is where, social media and so on, because we're not congruent with ourselves, we don't have, say, that self-respect for ourselves. Websites like Tinder, and I'm sure there's many, many more. It's like, women or even guys, they get on, and they just want to hook up. And again, it's like, I hate where this is taking me, but this is the only way I can connect with somebody, right? So if that's the only way, then don't do it. Because again, it's not the physical act of having sex, it's like you're destroying yourself. Does that make sense to you? That you're taking away that bit that even you have. And that's why after you get, say, you feel less and less of yourself. And eventually you've gotten to the point that it's so distorted that, it's just, you feel blank. Does that make sense to you guys? I mean, I can go deeper into it, but I don't think we need to. So, what else is there? So those are all, say, the different layers. I'm sure there's, offshoots, but we don't have to get into the smaller things. Sometimes what happens, suicide, what happens is that, and again, this is like either time distortion or whatever, is that, say you're out of your body for some reason, you're not complete, and then the act of being abused, sexually or any other way, you get addicted or you get attracted to that because when you're in that position, you actually awaken and you pull your body in. So say like you're in a dream, you keep pinching yourself to stay awake. That makes sense to you, right? So some people go to that extreme to get sexually abused to pull their body in to themselves. Otherwise, they just keep, say, getting pulled out. So your spirit's here, your body is here, right? Some of you are kind of getting pulled out, and that's where you have, say, suicidal tendencies and so on, and then you might think it's because, you've been abused and so on. It's because you're being pulled out of your body and there's tons of reasons why you get pulled out of your body, by the way, right? You're getting pulled out of your body, and then that feeling of getting pulled out makes you want to feel like suicidal. You're not part of this world. You don't feel right. You can't connect with anybody, right? Some of you are feeling that. That's why. And then what happens is that, again, you do anything to pull yourself back in. And then being sexually abused, you wake up because you're in the intense moment, and then you're in your body. And that's another reason why it feels like so pleasurable to be in that space, and then you crave it. But then right after, as soon as you say stop it, right, you're not, say, present anymore, you disconnect and you get pulled out, and then that's where you even feel worse. Does that make sense to you guys? I know it's a strange concept, but that's why that happens. Right? So there's lots of other things you can do to stay in your body. Right? It's not a beneficial way to do it. Other quick questions before we do the meta healing? We can just go forward. Perfect. So let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in, and you guys can get comfortable. You guys, there's plenty of room on the floor if you guys want to lay down wherever you are, whether you're here, whether you're online. A lot of people online, actually. Good number here as well. So get comfortable. You can, whatever. Get comfortable. Again, just noticing where you are, noticing the space around you, noticing you. And whether you're new to me or whether you're seasoned, doesn't really matter. Okay. It's still the same intensity because I really want to help you guys. So some of you, again, just more intense detox if you're new to me. That's basically what it is. So just be aware of that. Okay? Strong deep breath in. Again, noticing whether you're here live, whether you're listening online. We talked a lot about traumas. But let's get to the culprit of why those traumas exist. Time and space. Strong deep breath in again. Nice and deep. Again, you have to start taking control. So discipline is really important. Right? If you're not in control, somebody else is. So noticing your breath, noticing the space around you. And as I say, take a nice strong deep breath in, inhaling through the nose, nice little 4 count, really being disciplined, holding it for 4 seconds, and then slowly releasing, letting go. Allowing yourself to come back here in the present moment. Best way to do that is pay attention to your sensory inputs. Your sight, noticing, say, the lighting coming from outside, mechanical lighting, the sounds around you, sounds outside, my voice, and all in reference to where you are physically. So, for example, the sounds around you, whether you're here online, if there are sounds around you, if it's quiet, notice your body, and then notice where my voice is coming from. Okay? It puts you in a space of reference, again, in space-time. A wonderful breath in again. Again, same process, guys. Breathe in, hold, exhale. Right? You have to be disciplined. You can't just breathe in and let go. All right? And then it's reining in your control. Connecting to the group. I call it the mastermind group. Allows you to go further, faster. Allows you to, say, walk away from the distortions, no matter how sticky or how deep you've gotten into. And as we come into our space even more, as we get more comfortable, wonderful breath in. Just asking ourselves, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? And honoring that. I'll explain later, but again, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? We settle into our belly button area below. So the belly button down, the groin on up. Let's go back. How do I connect to pure source even stronger? Again, how do I become my limitless self? It's not an option. It's your main purpose why you're here. It's the only reason why you're here. In religious terms, I'll put it in religious terms. A lot of you are distorted by religious terms. Right? It's a sin if you do not connect to pure source and take the blessings that you've been given. Right? Again, those are the religious terms for you. Right? So, it's like getting a gift from God and then not accepting it. Right? In some cultures, it's very disrespectful. So you're disrespecting the highest honor. Your natural birthright to be at your highest self. To honor yourself at the highest level. And as you've seen and as you've experienced, giving yourself away, not deserving, has not served you, hasn't served anybody around you. It's a paradigm. It's just a total outright lie for control. Right? Just like that person that say gains your trust, or that religion that gains your trust and then destroys you. Same thing here, no matter where it comes from. Again, it's just an outright lie that you guys believe in. So don't. And it hasn't served you. Try something else and come back into your natural state. Then ask yourself, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? We didn't talk about this. But there's that trauma. It's just below the surface that doesn't feel like trauma. Until you walk away from a relationship or a situation, right? It's like colored, or we color it. Oh, that person or that relationship was not so bad, as we pay attention to that growing area, as I continue to work on you. Again, reading you in groups and subgroups. So seeing that distortion from a truer set of lenses, not coloring it or not lying about it or not, say, putting it in a certain flavor for you to, say, digest, right, the distortions. Again, basically not lying to yourself. This is where people go, well, my family was not that bad. It was okay. And then, you hear stories later on. It's like, well, my father would come, and this is probably somebody's story that I'm thinking of, every other night and beat the hell out of my mom. It was a common thing. Like we got used to it, so we basically get numb to what's really there. Right? Or even say lighter tones about that. You're not good enough. You'll never amount to anything. Those type of situations. You better marry somebody that'll take care of you if you can't take care of yourself. Right? So again, you sell yourself short. Prostitution, spiritually. Strong deep breath in again. So there's that line from the stomach, the groin area, right? Kind of like a column deep inside, right in front of your spinal column. So it's like a spiritual line, if you can feel it. If you can't imagine it, then bring it up and attach it right into the solar plex. Some cultures, the heart, they call it the stomach or the solar plex area. Western culture, it's the heart. So either way, again, it's in that space. Right? So your solar plex and then halfway up your chest. So just note that area. Noticing your breath, so continue to work on you, really pulling you into this space-time coordinate. Controlled breath in, and discipline, 4 count or whatever count that you like, holding it, and then releasing, extending that column right through the heart, the chest, right in front, right behind the sternum, through the neck, the throat, right into your brain center, right, your pineal gland, that communication hub. So connecting all centers, your groin, your heart, your head, and again from that central region, your spirit, and then pure source. Take a few minutes in silence as I work on you. Basically say to upgrade or update your software on how you communicate. Help you reset those distorted meanings like love equals abuse. Okay? Again, resetting your definition, your dictionary on what things mean. Good. Just give me a couple of minutes. Wow. Let's just say there's a lot of distorted definitions. As you note the groin area, the heart, the head, and then beyond. Working on a group and then subgroups. A group that I didn't cover that pops up is society norms, especially teenage years. Well, that's what we did to feel cool or be in the pattern. It was give of myself, because that was the in thing. A lot of kids today even magnify social media. Well, it's just like you go have sex or you give somebody else pleasure in some way because that's the cool thing. It's the fad. Again, it's distorting. And it's not that cool. It's a lot of us gotten sucked into that. Subgroup of that, to keep somebody, you give of yourself, right? To hold on to them, thinking that that's what they need, and then they break up with you anyway. Again, all those patterns or subgroups. Just noticing your breath again, nice and deep. And what we're going to do is, again, just imagine we're sitting back. There's a big screen in front of us. Again, notice your surroundings. What are you sitting back on? Is it a couch? Is it a chair? Is it comfortable? Is it modern? Look at the surroundings. Look at the screen. What does it look like? Look at the environment around you. Are you in a room, or is it dark? Is it light? Get all the details. What does it smell like? Are you comfortable in that room? Right? And all those details, make it as clear as possible. So you take a strong deep breath in. As we settle in, we're just going to play those distorted moments or those abusive moments backwards. Okay? So we're going to start with where we are in your life, right here, right now, like you listening to me. That's the 0 point. And then we're going to redo or relive your life in reverse. So just going back in time, like a month ago, 4 months ago, a year ago, kind of going and revisiting again cycles of patterns of abuse, just kind of feeling those situations, even those undertone or underlying situations, right, that you weren't treated right, kind of an offshoot. It's not really about the situation, but as we go even back further, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, just to put everybody in sync, back into our, say, 30s. And then 25. Again, noticing, say, the experiences that we've had. Not focusing in on the experiences, but what are similar patterns that you saw now that you can see your whole life from a different perspective. Again, that pattern, we're looking for patterns on how you get treated. Okay? 15, we reverse back even more. 12, 11, 10, 9 years. Again, the patterns. Right? What are similar patterns? 8, 7, 6, go back even more, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We go back. Patterns of your mother. Again, was she abused? Some of you, especially during pregnancy, the relationship wasn't that great. A lot of tension, right? Verbal abuse. Again, environmental that you've just absorbed. Going back 6 months, pregnancy, 3 months, pregnancy, inception. Stop right there. There's your lineage, your timeline, and then kind of like a root, a tree root, or a branch, right? An offshoot. If you stop right there, kind of a pivotal point, was your lineage distorted or abused? Okay. How did that blend in to your pattern? How was your mom or father or brother or whoever abused? Or your aunt? Okay. Again, you might not know exactly. Some of you are kind of getting pictures or images. Again. And then going back in your timeline, further back. Again, if you're not following through, that's fine. This is what basically I'm doing for you, just going back as a group and subgroups. If you want to know how many generations or how many lifetimes back, this pattern came from, go ahead and ask, hey, how many lifetimes ago did it start? I think I can take you all back, or most of you. So let's just go back to that lifetime where you originated, and you can see how it all started. So notice who you were, say the time frame, or what you did, or male, female, the general pattern, how you got abused, or how it started, how you died, any other details that you want to know. And as you can see, guys, it's not your fault. It's your responsibility now to take back control. More than just, say, a visual exercise, I'm just guiding you through what I'm doing for you in subgroups and groups and subgroups. So just give me a minute or two. some of you, it is a great tool to say survive or whatever. Okay? Again, at the time, but that tool is distorting for you now. Maybe it was a way of protecting yourself. Maybe you had no other choice. Whatever it is, just understanding. Wonderful breath in, again, nice and deep. So starting from whatever lifetime, and then going forward, reliving those experiences, perhaps from a higher perspective, where those experiences, say, can enhance us. Because it's not about the experiences, it's the awakening as we've gone through them. Going through, stopping at that pivotal juncture. Where we check the family lineage. Are any of those patterns, and while we're at it, let's just say health issues, or hereditary issues that we don't need in our family. Is there anything that we don't need in our family that we don't want to bring along? We might as well get rid of those while we're at it, right? Like you don't have to age the way your parents did. You don't have to get ill. You don't have to get mentally distorted. You don't have to lose your identity, whatever it is. Whatever it is of the way we die. Do you necessarily have to copy that pattern for you? There's benefits, obviously. It's called evolution, but again, the negative things, do we need to carry that? As a note, animals don't. Right? They're always evolvable to higher selves. Humans are the only ones that bring distortions as we evolve. Reason being, as we take another deep breath in, they're stuck in the present moment. They can't bring any distortions forward. Simple as that. Do you need to? Even some of the good things in your family, you can let it go and then reset. Coming back into, say, the time of conception. A few months into the pregnancy. Again, understanding, say, the environment that you are incubating in. Is that you, or is it your environment? Again, separating yourself from it. 3 months in, 6 months, 9 months. It's kind of strange, but I think 1 or 2 of you might have been like 10 months. Overdue. Maybe 3-4 weeks, yeah. So, whatever that is. Again, time of birth. Traumas through birth, and again, sort of abuse, right? You have trauma in birth, you're stuck in that pattern, so you create trauma in your life. Which has nothing to do with sexual abuse, but trauma is trauma. Right? And again, notice how you've gone through forward, and you can see it from a different perspective. Does that make sense to you guys? Just shake your head. And you can say, understand it, your educated perspective, and you can let go and heal from that pain, that experience, rather than get distorted, just like, again, animals and being present. 1 year of age, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, noticing your experiences, separating the two, understanding it from a higher perspective so we can really take advantage of the situation that's happened to us rather than get destroyed. It's the only difference, right, between awakened people and non-awakened people. It's not about the situations. They haven't been lucky. They just did it another way. 7 years, really pivotal years. 8. I see a lot of, say, divorces, separations around this time frame for many of you. 9. That trauma, good number of you blame yourself within that group. Because of that separation, again, you're not good enough. Look what you did. You separated 2 people, whatever. 10. 11. 12. 15. 20. 25. 30. 35. Again, relationships, marriage. Do you need those patterns? Is it similar, like I said, the lack? Notice how that feels as you separate you, the deserving you. You continue to work on you. Ten years from whatever age you are. 5 years ago. 4 years. You come back. 3 years. 2 years. 1 year ago. You notice how you're feeling. A lot of you are bogged down from what I'm seeing. The heaviness, a good number of you is really free and clean. But again, the heaviness is that separation. Now you get to know what's actually the darkness that you've ran, basically the baggage that you've had. And it's not me or anything. You're just actually seeing what you've, say, stepped into. 1 year of age. Right here, right now. As you come back into your brain center, pulling that pure source column down to your solar plexus, pulling it down to the groin area, You guys see you have a different perspective on the trauma or whatever that you've gone through. You get a sense of separation. Does that make sense? Just nod your head. Again, it's a sense of separation. You are not that distortion, that trauma that you have experienced. So with time, as we come back, that sense of separation gets wider and wider and wider. Right? So just be mindful of that. Listen to the podcast or do the 21 days. Okay, to keep that separating further and further, and obviously some pain attached to it. As you say, completely disconnect from it. For some of you, for a good number of you, you just go, hell, I want it all out. I don't care anymore. So, again, it's all up to you. Opening your eyes, whether you're here or online, welcome back. How are you guys feeling? I hope you enjoy that. Again, the spiritual thing. Spiritual disconnect is there. We live in a time reference, so that it just might take a lot, some time for you to say completely separate from your old identity and your new identity. So just be mindful of that. Right? Be mindful of detox. Some of you are, it's like, I don't want any of this, I'm submitting my will. I'm going to follow my spirit. My spirit tells me what to do. I'm just going to go do it. Some of you, but I love that person. I don't care if he abuses me. You're going to go through some pain of letting go and really identifying, say, your rule sets on love and stuff. Right? So again, that's all up to you guys. Right? Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being online. It's just one. So there's an IG. Where could one of you please ask one so much? On the 21 day that we have remotes available for booking for next week. I guess we just opened up some spots. Remote IGHs. And then next week's appointment. Never mind. And the holiday boutique. Anyway, look online. Obviously, you can tell that she runs the office. I just show up. So, the holiday boutique coming up, guys. It's a great gift, for people, for loved ones, and so on. I mean, the best gift you can give. There's a lot of discounts, and then also we're going to be doing a lot more, say, free events coming up as well. Goal setting, physical fitness, all that, getting you guys in shape for the New Year's, right? Might as well let go of all the crap from the holidays from this year, right? And before, and then just start fresh. And that's what this is all about. Right, guys? So again, look at the website. The podcast is Xponential Intelligence. Okay, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being online. And I'll see you soon.
For more information on my programs, please visit masajati.com. That's masajady.com. Or join us on Facebook for more information. We do a lot of Facebook Live.